Good afternoon, friends. This is Dennis Miracle. Today I'm going to be making what I'm calling the Monroe purse, and it's for the 6x10 hoop. And I just want to start out right now by telling you the items you'll need. You'll need 2 pieces of batting, one cut 6x11, one cut 7x11. You'll need 2 pieces of lining material, both cut 7x11. You'll need 1 piece of fabric for the back of your bag, cut 7x11. For the front of the bag, you'll need 2 pieces of fabric slash vinyl, and you can put vinyl on the back too if you want, but I'm using this piece of vinyl and this piece of fabric for the 2 contrasting colors on the front of my bag. I'm going to put this little device here with a key ring. It's just simply a piece of this same vinyl cut in a 3-inch strip by 3/4 inches wide, with a key ring placed in the middle and stapled on top to hold it together. I'm going to put it on the side of the bag to put a wristlet, for someone to put a wristlet strap on. And you need also a matching zipper, and this one is about, I'd say, 14 inches long, so it's roughly 10 inches across the top, so you need at least a 12 to 14 inch zipper, and you need the appropriate contrasting or complementary thread, and I think that's about it. I'm going to run the first step of the design, which will show the general outline of the design and the area where we place the zipper at, and I'm going to run that and I'll be right back. Right, resuming back with the making of the Monroe bag. I have you can see that the stitching has taken place, the outlining of the bag and the area for the placement of the zipper. So I'm going to take my zipper and place it right. There are 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have a number 3 zipper, nylon zipper, this zipper should fit exactly between line 1 and 4. Lines 2 and 3 are where the actual stitching will occur in the next step, in step 3. So go ahead and take your zipper and place it down, and let's tape it down on both sides. And as you can see, I have my head of my zipper over here on the left side, and my joining part to the machine here at the bottom. This is a baby lock I use. A brother would be the same way. So let me tape it here in the center also, just at the very edge at the top, and stick it back in the machine, and that will sew down this zipper. So let me do that and I'll be right back. All right, you can see the zipper has been sewn down. What you want to do now is take and turn your hoop over to the back side like this, and take your first piece of lining fabric and place the lining fabric face down. And you want to make sure it's okay as far as on the sides here, that you've got the sides covered, but you want to place the edge of the fabric right at this 4th line down, like this. Okay, right there, right there, and over here. All right, now pick up your hoop and let the lining fabric fall over to the front. Now we're back on the front side of the hoop, and take your lining and just fold it over several times and tape it right here to the top of the hoop, because we need it to be out of the way for quite a few of the steps coming up. Next, you want to take whatever is going to be the top part of your the fabric or vinyl at the top part of the design, and I have chosen to use this lovely white vinyl, and so do the same thing with it. Make sure you're okay on it. Place it face down. Make sure you're okay from side to side, and take and tape it right at the edge of the zipper right here. So let me do that. And then we'll stick this in the machine, and it will sew a line of stitches right through here, stitching this front part down and the back piece of lining. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I've just taken the hoop off the machine. We can see on the front here it's fine. Let's turn it over to the back to make sure it worked out okay there. Yes, it did. So back to the front of the hoop. And now we're going to take, and this is a little more difficult with vinyl because you can't press it with an iron, but I'm going to take it and fold it down and just with my fingers try to crease it a bit. And I guess I could probably use my pressing cloth lightly and iron over it lightly, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take and tape it down on the sides, just like that. Stick it back in your machine. Oh, no, I've told you a story. I'm getting ahead of myself. You need to take your piece of batting that's 6 by 11, the smaller of the two pieces I told you to cut, and put it down first, right underneath this. You can see the line of stitches just right here, just right below it, and then pull your piece of vinyl down and retape it. I wasted that tape. All right, there we are. Now take it to your machine, and step number 4, we'll just kind of do a basting stitch all around the 4 sides just to hold it in place. So let's do that, and I'll be right back. All right, you can see the stitching along the 4 sides, and so the next thing we're going to do is for step number 5, we're going to take whatever is going to be your secondary fabric that will be along the bottom of the design here. You need to take first and stick this in the sewing machine. Let me make sure. Yes, you need to take and put this back in the sewing machine because it's going to put a placement line for this next fabric. But get your fabric ready, and we'll be needing it in this next step. So let me do this placement line. I'll be right back. All right, now you can see the placement line has been sewn, and so we know where to take that. As I was starting to say, take that fabric you're going to use along this part here, and take it and place it face down, or I'm sorry, right side up, like this, and just place it over the existing vinyl that's here, and go ahead and, I'm going to tape this because it's the vinyl's so slippery it may slip off. So now take it to your machine, and it will sew this down in the same area that you saw the placement stitches. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, you probably can't see it very well because I can barely see it myself, but it has sewn down this piece of vinyl. Next, I'm going to take my applique scissors, and I'm going to just go in here from the, good Lord, I can't see, from the side like this. And I'm going to cut, well, along the line here. And I'm going to remove this top portion of the fabric so we can see the vinyl again. So go ahead and do that and just cut all, just right along through here and off the side over here. Meet me back in a moment. Alrighty, I have cut this now, and it was very difficult seeing, and I'm going to take now with a little bit of a finer, where's my, I'm going to use this one and try to cut a little bit more. So after I do that, I'm going to stick this into the machine, and it's going to do satin stitching all around these raw edges. And so let me do that, and I'll be back after the satin stitching has completed. All right, you can see that the satin stitching has been completed, and the next step would be, let's see, next step would be a honeycomb pattern on this lower piece of fabric, but I'm going to skip that because this is busy enough without adding anything else to it. And then the next thing after that would be the beautiful stitching up here. So I am going to let it do that. It's going to create some really pretty quilting up here. So I'm going to put this back in the machine and let this do its magic up here. So I'll be back shortly. All right, the pretty quilting has been completed, and next we're going to take off the piece of tape up here for the lining and let the lining fall back to the back of the hoop. Turn your hoop over, and we're going to take these pieces of tape off on the sides here. Well, is it on the bed of my machine? I don't know. That one's already gone. Okay, anyhow, pull the piece of lining fabric down nice and taut and tape it down. Alrighty, stick this, well, before I do that, I'm going to take my seam ripper, and I'm going to get rid of this piece of not lining but stabilizer in back of this white zipper. So I just kind of open it up with the seam ripper, and I just take my thumb, the back of my thumb, and just slide it down through here, and off it comes. So that's because I use paper towels as a stabilizer, that it's easy to work with. Anyhow, now I'm going to put it back in the machine, and I'm going to, the machine will run, will sew down this piece of lining on the back, basically follow just this area here that I'm pointing at, and sew that down, and actually sew this down to this piece of fabric here. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. All right, that has been completed. Let me turn this over to the back actually to make sure. Yes, it is fine. It is all sewn down. Now take this piece of tape off that originally held the zipper down and throw it away. And open your zipper about 3/4 of the way. There we are. Now take, if you're going to use one of these little attachments here, I'm going to take mine and put it right here, and I'm going to tape it down on the, okay, you can see where the, well, you can't hardly see. This is going to be where the stitch line is going to be, and this is going to run right over it. And this is my staple is way out of the line of stitching, so that's no issue. The only thing you want to be careful with is taping this key ring down, because I have had problems with that in the past of it getting under the presser foot, and that was not a good thing, obviously. So tape it down also. And, you know, I'm going to tape this again because this is kind of a thick vinyl, and that's more than I usually do. Okay, so we've got our zipper open. Now we're going to take our whatever you're going to use for your back of your bag and place it face down over the design, making sure you are at least 1/4 of an inch. The fabric is 1/4 of an inch over the top of the zipper. And then take your last piece of lining, which would be the bigger piece, the 7 by 12, and place it over that. And this will be step 12. And so this will basically close the bag up. So around all 4 corners. So go ahead and stick this in your machine and take care of that, and I'll meet you right back. All right, I almost had a problem right here. It almost started going and raising this here, dredging down into this batting. So you've got to be careful every stitch of the way. I never go away and leave my machine just running, or rarely, because the first time you do, something will happen. That's just my feeling, and that's been my experience. So anyhow, take your, for the final step, take your hoop and turn the hoop over to the back, and we're going to place the last piece of fabric, which is the other piece of lining, and just cover up what's already there. And again, making sure your fabric is 1/4 of an inch above this top line here, and tape it down on all 4 corners. All right, stick this in your machine and run the last step, which is step 13, and I'll meet you right back. All right, the stitching has concluded. I've turned it over so you can see the back of the hoop, and you can see that there's been a nice area left open to turn the bag out. So you can turn your machine off or do whatever at this point if you don't need it anymore. And let's take this out of the hoop. All right, let's take the first piece of the hoop. I don't see any tape attached to it. That's a good thing. I always check my hoops to make sure tape isn't attached before I put them aside. No, I don't see any on there either. That's a good thing. All right, now I always cut from the lining side, and let me get my good scissors. So get your good scissors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn like this, and I'm just going to cut right in like this. Okay, and this is something different than I've ever done. I've never done that before. And then I'm going to cut in, and that little piece comes right off. Throw that away. Now I'm going to do as I usually do, cutting here about 1/4 of an inch away from the stitch line. Farther away there. Let's see. Okay, that's better. All right. Now cut along through here. All right. Cut an angle there. Cut down through here. and come around the bend, the last bend here. And now do what I did before, just cut in from an angle. And take all of this and throw it away because it's just junk. Now we're going to do a little more trimming. Okay, place it right here where you can see still seeing the lining side. Pull back lining piece number 1, lining piece number 2. Now everything below this can be cut off, so go in real close without cutting into your lining and remove these pieces of lining and fabric and batting and whatever. And when I'm doing vinyl, I will keep the piece of vinyl because I use those to make my little attachment pieces, but the other fabric, I don't keep the fabric or anything else, so throw that away. Now let's open this up. So reach in and turn it out through that big opening. And it's a little more difficult when you have vinyl. Just depends on the particular vinyl, how thick it is. I try to use what's called promo vinyl, which is a bit thinner than marine vinyl, but I have used marine vinyl. You can use it, just takes a little more struggling with the thing to get it turned out, but it's doable. Okay, let's see. All right, now, of course, I've forgotten to turn my iron on, so let me do that. And I'm actually going to stop here for a second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Now, I'm going to take my, what I call my pressing cloth, which is an old wash rag with bleach on it, and I'm going to give it a little quick press, very quick, not dilly-dallying at all. All right, and then let's turn it over and do the same on this side. This iron doesn't feel very hot. What have I got it on? Let me turn it to high. All right. Now, take this smaller, the shorter piece of lining fabric and just fold it in like so, and take your iron and give it a press so it'll crease itself. And then take the bigger piece of, longer piece of lining and fold it in, and just fold these little tab pieces off to the side, towards the side of the bag. And there we are now. Give that a little bit of a crease. And all right. And now take this to your sewing machine and sew this area between my fingers, this gap area, sew that closed, and then I'll meet you back in a moment. All righty, I'm back. You can see I've sewn it closed here, and take your little snippers and snip the sewing threads off from, there's always, where are they? Oh, there's that one. Okay, there's always 2 on one side and 1 on the other. So those are gone. Okay, now take and let's open our bag. First, let's reach in and see if we can find, I've got all that tape in there. Let's take this tape off. Okay, there's that tape coming right off and stuck to my finger. Okay, and then open your zipper as much as you can get it. Now let's turn our bag out for the final time, and let's see what we've made. See if it's a pass or a fail. Oh, there's a piece of tape. Okay. Now, okay, turn this out as best you can. That looks okay. Alrighty, now take and mold your zipper. Just turn it in the way it should be. It just needs to be oriented the correct way to be in place. And go ahead and shut your zipper. Okay, there's that. There's that. All right, take your pressing cloth and be very careful. If you're using vinyl, I'm going to go over it real fast. This is a very thick, okay, gosh, that's not even warm, barely. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do that one more time. My iron is set on hot, but it doesn't seem to. All right. There, that's better. All right, that's warm. Okay, this is what we have. This is the Monroe bag, and I think it's quite beautiful in this color combination. I hope you've enjoyed being with me this morning and watching me as I prepared this. And if you purchase this pattern, I hope you'll make something beautiful for yourself or a friend or loved one. As I said, down here, generally on this area, would have been honeycomb quilting. I didn't do that since it had so much going on down here. I felt it would be too much. But I do have a honeycomb backing. If you don't like the plain backing, I do have a honeycomb backing. You could let me know if you want that. But anyhow, I think it looks great, and I want to thank, as I always do, those who continue to support and encourage me, and how much it means to me is I cannot tell you. It's more than can be put into words. But thank you so much, and I've got many, many more. I'll probably do another tutorial later today, and you have a great week. This is a Monday morning, so you have a great week. Thank you so much.